Zhuo Yifan despised them, seeing these people as pigs in a pen that could be slaughtered at any moment. Elder Yuan chuckled softly. He approached Zhuo Yifan, looking at the people walking away, and sighed, saying, the difference is that they still have a path to survival. Human nature is selfish, and from the human heart arises demons. If they fought to the death, even if they failed, the sect wouldn't gain anything. This labor office would no longer exist. However, the sect has left them a path. As long as they train hard enough, they can leave this place and become elder management. So, they fight and kill, striving and shedding blood, and one day they will become strong. So it's not that the sect sees them as pigs to be raised, but rather their own hearts that trap them in this pigsty. Elder Yuan smiled again, shaking his head with a hint of disdain in his eyes, and continued, however, this is good. This world values the strong. Even in a pigsty, if one is strong enough, one can break out. The rest are weak, the wise live, and the foolish die. Hearing Elder Yuan's words, Zhuo Yifan nodded slightly, as if enlightened. Heaven and earth are unkind, treating all things as straw dogs, and the demonic sects are even more so. This labor office is a Shura hell, a place where the sect's disciples come to find resources to train, and where true experts transform. If one can rise in such an environment, they have survived countless life and death struggles and can become a pillar in the sect. The labor office in the demonic sects is indeed the most crucial place, and in this ruthless world, there is no such thing as mercy. Only survival and death exist. The labor office is a small hell where all the evils of this world exist. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Yifan closed his eyes. His heart seemed to grow stronger. He gained quite a bit of insight, truly becoming brighter in the company of the wise. Suddenly, there was a loud rumbling sound. A clear pulse emanated from within Zhuo Yifan's body, and immediately after, with a whoosh, a blue flame burned fiercely on Zhuo Yifan's forehead. Elder Yuan was startled, his eyes widening in surprise. In the next moment, there was a soft bang, and Zhuo Yifan's aura surged several times over. Yet, Zhuo Yifan stood calmly. In an instant, his cultivation advanced from the 6th layer of the profound heaven stage to the 7th layer of the profound heaven stage. Elder Yuan was full of surprise upon seeing this. In his heart, he silently praised, thinking that perhaps after witnessing the Azura Circle today, this young man had gained some insight. His heart had grown significantly, which led to the breakthrough in his cultivation. But even so, the heart is the heart, and cultivation is cultivation. Cultivation determines your current strength, while the heart determines your future strength. The two are not directly related. The fact that the growth of the heart led to an increase in cultivation is extremely rare from ancient times to the present. Yet now, Zhuo Yifan has achieved this. This only shows that his comprehension is extraordinarily high, rarely seen in the world. Indeed, he is a great talent. Elder Yuan couldn't help but feel excited, staring intently at Zhuo Yifan. Zhuo Yifan frowned slightly, feeling uncomfortable under the old man's gaze. He coughed lightly and said calmly, Elder Yuan, why are you looking at me like that? If you can't hold it in, don't come to me. I don't have such a strong taste. Elder Yuan was momentarily startled and thought for a long time before understanding Zhuo Yifan's words. He couldn't help but laugh out loud, saying, Mr. Zhuo, please don't misunderstand. Though I am old, I am still a straight old man who only likes women. Zhuo Yifan pondered for a while before asking suspiciously, oh right, Elder Yuan. I never thought that the selection of resources in the labor office would be like this. But with your strength, it's amazing that you've survived so many Azura circles. It's truly a miracle. Elder Yuan waved his hand and replied, what's a miracle and what's not? It's just that everyone has their own way of living. The strong have their way of survival, and the weak have theirs. Moreover, when I first came here, there was no rule about the Azura Circle. The sect elders would personally come to select materials for training. I feared being selected, so I deliberately suppressed my cultivation. When the elders found me unworthy, I survived. Later, I became the oldest person here and eventually the manager. I officially obtained the golden immunity badge and escaped the suffering. Zhuo Yifan responded, oh, so what about the Azura Circle rules that came later? Elder Yuan looked around to ensure no one was nearby, then carefully whispered, Zhuo Yifan, let me tell you. The Azura Circle rules were established after Master K Lang came here. Confused, Zhuo Yifan asked, why did he do that? Elder Yuan chuckled and said calmly, Zhuo Yifan, you know that there are two types of people in the labor office. One type is the discarded disciples. Their fate is twofold, either they are used as materials for training, or they become elder management. The other type are the strong ones who were punished and sent here. They bear serious crimes and naturally don't have many chances to live. They're likely to be forever confined here. At best, the sect has a rule that if someone makes a great contribution, their past mistakes can be forgiven. Zhuo Yifan chuckled and shook his head. That's just talk. Once sent to the labor office, what great contributions can one possibly make? Elder Yuan simply smiled and said, you can't say that. As I said before, the strong are always strong. Those who want to achieve merit can do so anywhere. For example, if this Azura circle can continue, it would naturally be a great contribution. Zhuo Yifan, stunned, asked, why is that? The old man looked up, a gleam of light flashing in his old eyes, and said calmly, in the past, although those in the labor office knew there was a way out, only a few could actually leave. So, the majority of ordinary people just lived day by day. People like me suppressed our cultivation, fearing we'd be chosen by the elders to train with demonic techniques. As a result, the training resources were extremely limited. But now, with the Azura Circle, those in the labor office must train hard to be stronger than others to survive longer. In a short time, their strength increases, and the quality of training resources for the sect elders also increases. Moreover, the Azura Circle gives people the illusion that their fate is in their own hands. Those who die in battle become training resources, while survivors naturally continue to exist without being selected by the elders. If you're stronger than others, you live; if you're weaker, you die. Thus, the strength of those in the labor office nearly reaches the level of outer disciples. Especially after Yuling arrived. Another rule was added: those below the bone refining stage don't have to participate in the Azura Circle to ensure the number of people in the labor office doesn't decrease too much, avoiding a situation of completely depleting the resources. If this continues, the strength of the labor office disciples will become quite high. This is a great contribution. Those two might use this to return to the inner sect. Zhuo Yifan nodded, clearly understanding in his heart. Those two had implemented a strategy to tap into the survival instincts of people who had lost their ability to continue living, throwing them back into a land where the strong thrive and the weak perish, reigniting their primal instincts. Perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, they are seen as a flock of young sheep waiting to be slaughtered. But in the Azura Circle, each of them is a wild beast, fighting for survival. It's imaginable with people like them. If they can receive additional training resources, their future potential will definitely surpass some inner disciples. With a gleam in his eyes, Zhuo Yifan nodded thoughtfully and murmured, could it be that Xia Wuye sent me here to manage the labor office and achieve great merit for the sect? Elder Yuan looked at Zhuo Yifan in astonishment. What did you just say? Zhuo Yifan shook his head and laughed. Nothing, I was just marveling. Those two are truly talented individuals not appreciated by the sect. It's a real pity. Elder Yuan chuckled and nodded, indeed, indeed. With a glint in his eyes, Zhuo Yifan opened his mouth again. Oh, right. What did they do to get punished and sent here? But before Elder Yuan could answer, a series of faint but clear sounds transmitted to their ears. Far away, on the roof of a building, a young woman was standing and practicing her dance. It turned out to be Yuer. She was training up there. As she was diligently practicing, she glanced down below. Zhuo Yifan looked over as if seeing a celestial dancer, his lips involuntarily curling into a cheerful smile. Your sword practice is excellent, Yuer. We have the chance to meet again. The graceful figure abruptly stopped under the moonlight. Yuer's clear face was filled with cold mist as she glanced lightly at Zhuo Yifan for a moment before turning her head away, showing disdain. But before she could continue her practice, Zhuo Yifan spoke up again loudly. Yuer, what a coincidence. You've been punished to the labor office too, huh? Her body couldn't help but tremble lightly. Yuer staggered, almost falling to the ground. Then, she glared at Zhuo Yifan with resentment and gritted her teeth. You're the one who's been punished to the labor office. Yuer's eyes were filled with deep hatred. Elder Yuan, standing aside, looked up to the sky and chuckled quietly. Meanwhile, Zhuo Yifan continued to laugh heartily. Haha, that's right. I'm also here at this labor office. Yuer, upon hearing this, was utterly confused.